Hello and welcome to the next episode of Two Girls Talk Transits. Today we're reviewing the astrology from October 26th through November 1st, 2025, and we're your host. I'm Maddie.
And I'm Kaleigh.
Welcome back, everyone. So we are continuing this theme of like a lot more water, at least for the start of the week, which is beginning here on the 27th on Monday, which is when Mars, still in Scorpio, is going to make that trine to Jupiter in Cancer, which is an interesting interaction. I mean, we have like what Mercury is still in Scorpio, Mara, the sun is in Scorpio. A lot of water, as we were talking about last week. I feel like Jupiter is going to be helping Mars more than Mars is like helping Jupiter. So I feel like Jupiter will be
Hmm.
expanding the Mars drive and obsessions, but also like actions you're taking or things that you're wanting to cut away or whatever you've really been like really digging up and working through, especially after last week, after that new moon when everything moved into Scorpio. Like that emotional intensity is only going to really kick off and continue for the start of this week. How do you feel
Mm.
about it?
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think it's like, like Jupiter in Cancer is very much like emotional expand, like emotion or felt sense expansion. Like, what do I want to expand in this like comfort realm or this like emotional realm? And then like acting on this Mars and Scorpio, it's like, yeah, like amping up that emotional drive to like do whatever it is. So I think definitely like emotions and like actions are definitely going to be heightened. Yeah. And we're already feeling I think a lot of that with all these like water placements and then, all these planets in Scorpio, we're already feeling a lot of that. But I definitely think today it could be a little bit louder or just like more than it has been. Um yeah.
Yeah, I think Jupiter's just gonna like really make that drive come out because sometimes the like Scorpio Mars can be more like secretive and like hidden about its intentions or its like obsessions and actions. But then Jupiter in Cancer gives this feeling of like security and like nurturance of this obsession. So it's like, oh, we really start to like share that, like whatever it is you're going through, or like really start to put more energy into your actions outwardly because you realize that it's like it's just expanding. Jupiter's just going to be expanding it naturally. And so it's just going to be feeling like, okay, this is secure and I want to take this action. So let's really do it. Let's just go for it, dive deep into it, and it brings it out more than it being like something you're like festering inside you, you know?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I definitely think so too. And I think this kind of like speaks to one of the aspects we'll have later with like its interaction with Saturn, like solidifying
Yeah,
some
I
of those actions. And we'll talk about that. But I definitely think like the pieces are kind of coming together.
think so too. So like
Yeah.
that's the start of this water trine,
Yeah,
right?
I've been teaching my daughter like the planets and I've been teaching her like I've been trying to think like how do I teach her like what do the planets do? And
Yeah.
I've been like framing it as like, what do the planets say? And for Jupiter, like I've told her that Jupiter says like, give me more. And for Mars, it was difficult for me because I'm talking to like a 3-year-old, so it's difficult for me to like articulate sometimes. Like I can't say
Yeah.
like more passion or like she's not gonna understand. So like I said Mars said like let's fight. So
I mean, that's a good one.
yeah, so anyways, I just
So
thought it
give
was
me
interesting.
more fights.
Give me more fights. Yeah,
I mean, that's accurate.
I know. Yeah. I mean that could be too. I mean, you could definitely have like more like heated conversations, especially because we still have Mercury and Scorpio, so it's definitely a possibility.
I think it would be like if you are having more arguments, it will be something that needs to happen. Like again, like if you're festering this resentment or this like feeling of like discomfort in the relationship of like frustration with this person and you're holding it in, like I do think Jupiter coming to this trying to be like where you actually hey, and let's talk about this or like bring it out, but in a way
Hmm.
that's like better than if you were just ignoring it.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I mean, anytime Scorpio comes around, like it's kind of like a necessary I want to I do think I just want to say like unclogging or like, we're making that stuff kind of move. Yeah, where
Right.
otherwise it was like kind of stagnant.
Yeah. Scorpio has always been described as like the stagnant pond or like swamp,
Hmm.
And like the challenge with that is like you need movement too.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, with
Yeah.
movement comes like that cleansing. It's like, when you see like a stream, usually the one that's moving is like the clearest.
Right. The cleanest to drink from, right? Like the
Yeah, it's like the
best.
moving
Yeah.
part. Yeah. Mm.
So,
Cool.
yeah.
So moving forward on the 28th, let me clear this. We have Mercury in Scorpio trining Neptune in Pisces.
Hmm. It's a grand like water trine energy going on for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, we do. I think oops, definitely a day for like hopefulness or like feeling like inspired or some way like you want to express yourself maybe in some way that's a little bit more dreamy or a little bit more artistic. Um I feel like the Mercury in Scorpio, like if you were an artist, a Mercury in Scorpio would make you communicate in a way that is like transforms your pains into some kind of peace, right? Having that like trying to Pisces is like having this like beautiful reflection on it, like being able to see like, oh, this pain has like made me come out with like this beautiful piece of art or like has made me, learn this thing that I might not have otherwise known. So I think as it maybe like relates to our personal life, we could maybe, yeah, just like be able to like communicate in a way that's maybe more hopeful or dreamy or, um, yeah, just seeing like the blessings in the lessons, if that makes sense. Yeah. What do you think?
Yeah, it's a very dreamy, like mystical interaction whenever you have Mercury and Neptune like that, where you're just really like feeling the messages through a poetic sense of like your emotions, your body, or like art and omens and like the world around you. And interesting enough is like the moon today will be opposite Jupiter, so also sort of interacting with that Jupiter Mars. So it's like this bigger water trine interacting in the sky right now where
Mm-hmm.
everything is just really heightened emotionally. And so, like, on one hand, it can be really experiential and like fun because emotions is like what we seek. We seek to feel good, we seek to feel a certain way because it's so encompassing in our body, right? Like, but it can also like really like this interaction can really sweep you away into an emotion where you're like just reacting to the emotion, but it doesn't really have like a concrete reason to exist, or like, the logic behind it is falling apart. But it can be this like super really romantic experience if it's positive, and maybe a little delusional experience if you're going too far down one path, you know?
Yeah, I think that's such an important piece to that you like hit on there is like the illusion part of it or like the deception of
Right.
it, like being like too enthralled with the idea of something. I think it like pulling in like how this might affect me like could be illuminating. So Mercury rules my second house of finances in Scorpio right now and then trining that Neptune, which is also making that grand trine to Jupiter, right? So
Mhm.
there's like maybe this like financial thing that maybe I want to expand, right? Like I um like want to spend money and I'm like seeing like oh like if I spend this money it could be this like really wonderful thing, like I could get all of this stuff in return, but the deceptive part of it is like I'm having rose colored glasses, not seeing that maybe that could put me in like a financial downfall later. It's like you're like I don't know, you're like seeing the beautiful things,
Like,
but not really what lies beyond it, I think.
yeah, it's just like feelings kind of distort your reality. They are your reality. Like feelings are
Mm-hmm.
such a big part of our reality. Like someone was saying, like we experience the world like through our nervous system, not as reality, you know? And
So
so
true, yeah.
like right. And so like if you're feeling so deep in this moment, you're like, well, that thing's only going to make me feel better. Like, but the reality is there's consequences to those actions that you're not having the foresight to think ahead about, or just like, the other impacts to other parts of your world or people or so. Like feelings can really just like entrench us. And that's not bad. Like it's good to, feel super passionate about something or feel super in love with someone or, have those things. But just keeping like one little thought of like, this isn't fully the full picture,
Yeah,
will
for sure. It
help you.
reminds me of like drugs, like
Yeah, very
Neptune can,
much.
yeah, can very much like be symbolic of like drugs and pharmaceuticals and like all kinds of things. But sometimes they sell like pharmaceuticals as like these things that can like change your life for the better always. But there
Right.
is like, they have that like long list of things that are also the downside of them, like it's like not always great. Like, yeah, you can get on Adderall to fix your ADHD, but then you're going to be like pissed all the time and you can never sleep. So, like, and you don't necessarily see that, maybe you're like trying to only hold on to the benefits, but there are definitely consequences
Yeah.
that come along with it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's like a whole thing I think about a lot is like we need to be able to experience negative emotions and have the capacity to hold negative emotions and negative feelings without feeling like we have to fix it all the time. Like,
I know, just like sitting with it and letting it be.
yeah.
Yeah, I
Because if
know.
we are in this like world and society and economy where it's like, oh, something's wrong, there's a solution for that.
Mm-hmm.
And like actually you just maybe need to let things be wrong. And that can be very Scorpio because I feel like out of all the water signs, Scorpio is going to be the one that's the most like this sucks, so deal with it.
Well, it holds the most capacity
Yeah,
for
pain.
like, yeah, it does. Yeah. So Scorpios and all the Scorpios that I know, they don't necessarily try to fix things. They kind of just
Yeah,
communicate about the things that they don't like, and they let that be a very much a part of their reality. And I think there is a degree to which that is, healthy. It is healthy to like accept um
right. But you can also
the
be like a
darker parts.
martyr and be like, oh, all my pain is for this thing and I'm like
There's a
die on that
balance for
hill.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I do like when, the zodiac moves through. I do like that Scorpio is kind of like the gates of hell before we get into Sagittarius season, because it's like it makes you deal with all that pain before we get to like more lightheartedness, I think.
The Sagittarius is like the Phoenix Reaper from the
Yeah.
ashes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it
So
is like, yeah,
it's good.
integrating all that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Go ahead, Maddie.
So no, that's the big first bit of this week. And then Wednesday is going to be a pretty big day on the 29th is when Mercury will enter into Sagittarius pretty early in the morning, yeah, like at 9 a.m. And it will be automatically like go opposite Uranus because Uranus is only like 22 minutes into Gemini right now. It's very close
Mm-hmm.
to retrograding back into Taurus. I think that will happen next week or so, very soon. Um, and yeah, I don't know. It's like this is an interesting interaction where we're having this really beautiful trine with Neptune the day before, where we're just really engrossed in our feelings and like engrossed in the inner realities. And then Mercury, I feel like, will be sparked by some passion and by some intense desire to like, okay, let's do something now when it enters into Sagittarius. And that's something is very disrupting and it brings in a little bit of chaos and like shakes things up because you were reacting to emotions. And sometimes, again, emotions aren't full reality. And that can be the Gemini piece with Uranus there. It's like, well, here's all the facts to the matter, and this is what this is all going to mean if we say this thing and disrupt this flow or harmony that's been going on and kind of speak our truth out. Sagittarius is a very like truth giving
It
sign. So
is,
it
yeah.
could be, be a lot about like, I have to speak this truth out, and that is creating fractures or disruptions in my life. Some
Yeah,
way.
for sure. I do think too, like it's important to note like Mercury will be in detriment here. So it doesn't
Mm.
have like all the strength that it would
Yes.
in like its domicile placement. So like Gemini and Virgo. So being like debilitated here, it's like I think we're maybe more so relying on the bigger picture and it's missing those like smaller steps, which would very much be like Mercury and Gemini would be like the smaller steps. So there is like, I think it's important just to be aware that while you think you have the bigger picture in mind, you might not know like what are the steps I need to take to get there. That might be like a missing piece of the puzzle. Um, and that could kind of like fuel this like expansion or this like idea that you have in your mind that you like want to like, oh, I want it to grow, get bigger, bigger, bigger. And you have this like hopefulness, because Sag is ruled by Jupiter. You have this like hopefulness, but there's like just pieces I think that are missing.
Yeah, you're just not, you're really getting swept away again. Like Mercury is just kind of like being swept into all these outer planets, which is like this really big picture unfolding in your life where like you don't know why you're going through this experience with Neptune back into Pisces or Uranus
Mm-hmm.
and Gemini. Like you don't really know. You won't really know until it's been a couple years, and then you can kind of look back in this whole picture. And like
Right.
Mercury again is like really probably thinking really big picture right now with this interaction with these outer planets. And then again, like you say, okay, so what are the steps to get there? I don't know. But I
Yeah,
just
it's like
know this is my truth and I have to have it.
right, right. It's like having this like great like story arc, but like
Right.
when it comes down to like writing the chapters, you're like, wait, who's the characters? And like, wait, what? Yeah. So,
What tense am I using? What
yeah, it's like,
verbiage am I using? Yeah.
I know.
And
Hmm.
and it's only going to be further like muddled and configured with this retrograde that we're going to have in early
Yeah.
November.
Yeah.
So I just think just be mindful of like if you're getting to this last week of October and you're just having all these really big ideas and really big like pushes to do a change, you probably will because it's just the astrology, but just know that you'll have to come back and clean it up or redo it or like reinforce the idea again because that's what retrogrades will do.
I know. I know. Yeah. Retrogrades are like a we're not done yet energy. It's like definitely we're gonna review this at a later date. So I think that is something we can be mindful of at least. Like the mercurial things are going to need to be reviewed. I think too, you could go ahead and look at like where Mercury rules in your chart, like Gemini and Virgo houses, and understand that maybe you're having a bit of a um yeah, it's just going to affect your experience in some way. Like you're
Yeah.
having a bit of like a Jupiterian experience to it. Like you like want to have that expansion, but also with the South Node being in Jupiter, it's or the South Node being in Virgo, it's interesting. So anyways, just go ahead and look at those houses and see, you know, what's happening.
Yeah, I think overall you'll just see like those houses have been very stable and more fixed in Scorpio with Mercury moving through Scorpio. Maybe not a lot has been changing. And then all of a sudden you're going to start to see a lot of rapid change or
Mm.
movement
Mm-hmm.
with the movement into Sagittarius. Not
Yeah,
necessarily
moving into like
good,
immutable.
a
Yeah.
mutable sign, right? And
Yeah.
like increasing that energy. Yeah. Yeah, that's the only thing else I'll add to that.
Interesting. Doke. So on that day also we have Mars in Scorpio trining Saturn in Pisces. So Mars trining Saturn. So Mercury and Mars, last week were kind of like mixed up in this little entanglement, but now they have since separated. And, Mars is kind of doing its own thing, and Mercury is doing its own thing too. And Mars coming into a trine, I think, with Saturn, I think is also kind of like amping up that like hopefulness or like this feeling of like I want to plan something out. Um, maybe you don't have all the details, but you do it anyways. Like you're like, okay, like I'm missing pieces of it, but I'm gonna try to get structured and I'm gonna try to like lay the foundation and set up things because I am feeling this like hopefulness and this like, need to expand. So, yeah, I think it's like a do it anyways energy, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think I think on this day it's helpful because it's like Mercury is being overloaded with new ideas and like a sudden shift of energy and it's really feeling electrocuted, inspired. And then Mars though is still back in Scorpio, like, okay, but we still need to make intentional, slow movements, like
Mm-hmm.
especially with Saturn, like what is the long-term goal here? What are the long-term steps that we have to take to make this happen? Um, but say but because I do have a not it's not very close in degree, but it's within 10 degrees. I do have a Mars trine Saturn in my chart.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes when you have a trine, like it's just it's a flowing of positive energy generally, or not even positive energy, it's just a flowing of energy. And so it can make the malefics work really well together in doing malefic things. So like for me in my life, like with Mars and my fourth,
I could see it for
gen
you.
right, it generates a lot of
Yeah.
conflict within my family, which then impacts like my relationships with Saturn rules, and it makes it all worse instead of actually
Mm-hmm.
positive, because
Mm-hmm.
they're like flowing and they're just like unhindered. And so like that's the only other thing though. It's like you could see a trine between these two and be like, oh, that's good. It can potentially lead to constructive action and being able to take long-term action over time continuously and like have that discipline, but it can also lead to just more destruction in general because those two are
Mm.
like, yeah, let's just destroy this.
I feel like it could also be like, when I see Mars and Saturn interact together, sometimes it feels like overworking or like burning out
Hmm.
or like being so focused that you just like kind of tune out other parts of life. I think that is like something to also be
Yeah.
mindful of. Yeah.
It kind of shows what something kind of has to really be cut away, or like you really have been putting too much action into something, you have to move away
Mm-hmm.
from that. So I do think this day on Wednesday is really going to highlight just what has to change. And like, if you don't make this change, it's going to just keep festering a wound or like some sort of harm into your life in some way if you don't like, and, I don't
Chill.
know, confront it. Yeah. Chill.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's important too because we've been having this like kind of insatiable desire to like tend to the Scorpio house, with Mars
Hmm.
there. And, also, we had Mercury, the sun's there. So this honestly could be kind of one of the ends to that, like need to like fulfill that house in a way. This could be like, okay, like we're cutting off that energy a little bit. Like you've kind of overdone it at this point. We've put way too much energy here. Now that's like peel it back. And,
Hmm.
let's like decide, be like discerning and, figure out what do we want to do with his energy instead.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like just having to be more disciplined with it. So I mean, Saturn here was probably gonna, yeah, like you said, pull back Mars a little bit and
Yeah,
be
I think
like
so.
more structured in a more way. Or if you don't do that, you'll start to see negative effects of that
For sure.
burnout or whatever coming into your life.
Yeah, yeah, I could definitely see that.
Yeah. So that's that day. Definitely one day to watch out for your week, I think.
Right.
Because the rest of the week and like Halloween and stuff was quieter. It's just on the 30th, Mercury will then move into a sextile to Pluto in Aquarius. Um, not a whole lot to say. I think it's a lot more relating to like how Mercury is just interacting with all of the outer planets in this week frame,
Mm-hmm.
which again is taking to like a more higher level unfolding in your life. But also, the day with Pluto can be a day where you get more intense about things and you're like really analyzing and getting serious about this idea or this belief in some way, and like Pluto can really show you or make you feel like I have to have this, like this power is important to me, like I have to have this, so we're gonna really enforce it.
Mm-hmm.
um I don't know, it is more subtle, it's not gonna be the biggest interaction, I think.
Yeah, I agree. Could be like a small truth uncovering too. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, like something comes to light. Yeah. But overall I do think it's gonna be pretty soft. Is Halloween on the 30th or the 31st?
31st.
31st.
So I
So the
think it's
moon
just
will
the
be in
moon.
Pisces when everyone
Yeah.
returns.
Which is interesting, the moon being in Pisces, because like it's just gonna be a lot of water still. Even though Mercury's like moved into Sag, I don't think we're really gonna be feeling all of that yet.
Yeah, I could see that.
A
I mean,
little bit of
more of
an
the story
emotional.
is, yeah.
Yeah, more of the stories in the water signs is gonna be a little bit of an emotional, like interesting, like watery Halloween.
Yeah, I could see that. I feel like Halloween's always kind of emotional for me, so I mean,
Oh
we still
yeah.
have like the sun in Scorpio, so
Right.
yeah. I mean, I could see it. But yeah, definitely with the moon in Pisces will definitely make the veil, thin, which is, what people sometimes hope for with Halloween. Maybe you can contact the spirits.
Yeah, there's a big high end of intuition and the whole veil is thin and ability to like really tap into that, yeah, for sure. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
water energy. But we will see more Sagittarius. Mars is not far behind, so it will be interesting to that like shift into like wanting to have more fire now, wanting to take an action. Like, what does that look like? Especially when we're coming into November, which we have midterm elections coming up, which is always a fun time for Americans.
Yeah, I'm actually interested to see how things will go because we have so much like, when all these planets start moving into Sag, um, we have a lot of like Jupiterian energy happening. So I'm interested to
And
see.
it's our first house in the assembly chart in America for America.
Is Cancer
Sag.
right? Or
No, we are
Sag?
Sag rising, Cancer sun, but we're Sag rising.
Okay, okay. Interesting. Yeah,
Right.
our identity in some way is being.
And then Mercury is going to retrograde in Sagittarius right around the midterm elections. So
Mm,
that'll be fun.
yeah, yeah. Will definitely be interesting.
Okay. Well, we'll talk about that next week then. If you want more content from us, you can follow us on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok at Two Girls Talk Transits. And we will see y'all next week.
See you.
Bye.